to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everybody out there. This is episode 469 of the Trinity Force Podcast. Adam Potophobia Cogswell here, bringing you another episode. Joined by Punch, Dom, and Santana. Hello, everybody.
Hey-o!
Hello.
That's way more enthusiasm than I have. Hello.
Yeah, Dom, 4 beers deep. Santana looking a little disheveled after a day.
I look great.
And Punch just looks like Punch.
Yep.
I'm drinking
I'm
water
here.
now, so...
Punch is in PUBG mode and not League of Legends mode. He wants to talk about all the great spawn
I guess.
drop locations.
I'm not that into PUBG.
Hold on.
I don't really care to talk about it.
Really? So,
Yeah.
I was about to ask, like, where's your preferred drop in PUBG? But
I just go where people tell me to go.
that's fair.
Sometimes I go somewhere else.
Sometimes you're like the one.
Sometimes I
guy
just do my
far
own
off.
thing. Like, let's meet at the farms. Like,
team player.
I'm not gonna make it.
Just like how you play top lane. Tisk.
Yeah. Well, I gotta be consistent
That's one way
across
to
my
do it.
games.
And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is trying to be consistent in League of Legends so that you
What?
increase your rank. Yeah,
Oh
that's-
man, transition.
Oh, look at that guy.
Man, there's always going to be comments.
He's
We
so
don't-
proud of
we don't just do it.
himself, too.
So if you guys want to support the podcast, patreon.com/T-Force Network. $10 a month gets you 2 Champions Like podcasts, plus all of our backlog. There are 51 episodes to listen to. So for $10, you get 51 more podcasts to listen to on your ride into work.
Mother of God.
Whatever it is.
A lot of podcasts.
It is. This month's champions are Camille and Echo, and those are available right now if you go sign up and give us your money. You can do $25 a month as a replay review. We'll take a look at your game and tell you what you did right, wrong, and how to get better at this game. And you can do that again, patreon.com/T-Force Network. If Patreon is not your thing, you don't like the crowdfunding, you can always go to buddhaboxers.com/T-Force. That's BUDDHA boxers.com. Go grab yourself a pair of bamboo boxers that are super comfortable. They help wick away the sweat. They help you nice and cool through your long days so you can game, and make it into platinum or gold, silver, bronze, whatever it is you decide that you're trying to go for this season. buddhaboxers.com/T-Force. Use code TrinityForce for 20% off your entire order. Thank you, Buddha Boxers, for supporting the podcast this week. And with
Want to stay dry down there.
That's right.
Stay nice and dry and comfortable.
Keep it nice and cool.
Don't want anything sticky, especially in the summer months. But summer's almost going away, so we're good. We're good, but still.
And it could keep you warm in the winter months.
Yeah.
As at the thought of how to do the weekly challenge for the week. So this week you want
Oh,
to look
good.
at the game clock at the start of every wave and make a note of it.
These just get harder and harder, man. I think I have a solid D- across all of the challenges so far.
Who's grading you,
Not
Punch?
quite failing. Maybe I'm grading myself on a curve, so maybe I am failing. That's a troubling thought. Didn't
Well,
think about that.
With the number of people that have wrote in and told us that they're doing the weekly challenge, you don't really have anything to worry about because we've had exactly zero people write in.
All right, I'm ahead of the curve. So it's an A, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
You are
I'll go
the
with
curve.
that.
So because you're at least trying it, so you are the curve. So
It's not
whatever.
really a curve if it's just a point, though.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Look at the game clock at the start of every wave. Make a note of it. That is the weekly challenge for this week. Please go join our Discord, discord.trinityforcenetwork.com, and let us know how you're doing. You can always ping me or ping the podcasters in chat and let us know. We'd love to talk about it. Santana is in there all day, and I'm sure he'll have a thing or two to say about your progress.
Sure. Why not? I don't do anything else at work. It's great.
Except for shit on people in the league Q&A chat.
Pretty much. That's usually like half time. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
So
Got to put people in their place.
just like I'm going to put you guys in your place tonight as we talk about...
Will you stop it?
Motherfucker, I swear to God.
What's wrong? You don't like my transitions?
That's 3 in like the first 5 minutes. We got to bring this back a little bit.
I
Slow
don't
it
mind
down.
them, but I'm Still bitter about all the puns from the Declawed era, so
We can bring those
So this
back.
is a step up.
transitions are fine.
Dom, you know what makes me bitter? When I lose League of Legends.
Yeah,
I
it
lose at
does.
League of
I've
Legends.
played a lot of games with you, and you are just a cranky fucking asshole.
And I want to talk about winning the game because we talk a lot about ways to get to the end of the game, but we don't ever talk about your personal performance to get you there and what it means to get you to the end of the game. Because at the end of the day, the goal of League of Legends, or at least the game you're playing on Summoner's Rift, is to kill the enemy Nexus or destroy the enemy Nexus. And there are ways to get there. We've talked about a lot of ways to get there, but I want to say that like when I'm playing in lower elos, kills seem to be like the objective that people to go for. And honestly, in my opinion, kills are probably likely the least important aspect of a player's performance to win the game, because you would win the game being 0-0 and 0 just by your actions and rotating around the map. Generally speaking, you're not going to walk out 0-0 and 0. You're going to walk out, you could walk out 0-0 and 8 or something by just helping to get assists by throwing an ability out here or there. But are there certain, I'm throwing this out there as an overall question before I have to keep talking because people don't know what we're talking about. Are there areas to focus on to reach this goal where you're not focusing on kills, but you're focusing on other aspects of the game to help you get to that end goal?
Objectives.
Well, and
Objectives,
mechanics.
phone. No objectives.
Objections punch?
Objection.
This is not Phoenix Wright. Okay.
It could be though. Be Phoenix.
Yeah. Can I talk about objectives?
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Punch, talk about objectives.
Okay, I'm going to talk about it.
What's an
So,
objective punch?
I have no idea. So, my team, a fives team, right? We've had this problem where we had a few games where we've been winning in kills, but we lose the game and it's not even fairly close. And we had this discussion after one of these games where, okay, what the hell is going wrong here? What are we doing? And the problem was we're not taking objectives. We would win a team fight, but then we wouldn't be in position to go push a tower, or we thought we weren't going to go in position to push a tower or take a dragon or whatnot. We were all too low, or another lane had to be pushed, or there was some fire that needed to be put out so that we couldn't group up and go do something constructive, right? We're going to get together as a team and go push mid lane or what have you. So we made this conscious effort in the next game to, once the team fight is over, no matter how low we are, we look at the enemy team. If they're dead, if they can't contest us, we're staying together and we're pushing. If there's a big wave top lane, screw it. We'll send somebody there if somebody has teleport. If not, we're staying together and we're taking a goddamn objective, because I'm sick of losing by not taking objectives and just taking kills, and then we go back to the base and then the enemy team is back up already, and then, oh my god, we can't push anywhere. They're pushing all three lanes. We get another kill, another team wipe, and then we're going to go back and heal because we're pushing all three sides, and we slowly get choked out like this big python. The enemy team's a giant python. They're sucking the life out of us. They're suffocating us. They're sucking the life out of us, and it sucks.
This is the
It
first
sucks.
time. This is the
So
first time
don't-
I've ever heard you sound
don't
like
be like that.
genuinely unhappy.
Don't be like that, people.
About how things are going in your Monday Night Ranked 5.
No.
That was a rant.
It's not even that.
My God.
It's 469 episodes in, and this is the very first time that Punch has ever grabbed the soapbox, pushed somebody off of it, grabbed the soapbox, stood on it, and fucking ranted. 469 episodes. This is the first time Punch has ever done that.
So a big part of what Punch is talking about is sort of built on what Freak calls bookkeeping. And that is like you have to start predicting where either the fights are going to happen or where you want to make the fights happen, and then start controlling your side lanes and minor objectives so that those are no longer distractions for you once the fight happens, and so you can start being more proactive after that point.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, like,
Yes.
to Punch's point, like, how often do you, in your solo queue games, does a fight break out and you guys win it, and then you can't take anything because top or bot or something is pushed too far deep, and you don't have enough, like, heavy damage dealers to actually make headway on a meaningful objective? Because making headway on that meaningful objective will mean you lose a meaningful objective somewhere else. And that's just kind of laziness, or the opponent was really proactive about doing something that was going to set you back after the team fight.
As affectionately dubbed, ace and basing happens so much in the lower elo games, because what ends up happening is, yeah, you get that nice big team fight win, you pick up 3 or 4 kills, and you're like, you know what? I really want to go buy that NLR, or I really want to go buy a BF sword. It's like, but hey, there's a dragon you can go take, or hey, you know what? Rift Scuttler is still up. You could probably take that, or hey, see that tower that you just need to hit once? Go do that.
And the worst part is, like, that's when you have a numbers advantage in the game. If you just won a team fight, like, odds are, it's really unlikely that you won a team fight, but they have more people on the map than you do. Like, it's possible, but it's really, really unlikely that it happened.
It happens sometimes, depending on how the fights play out in terms of like
Yeah, I'm not
HP
saying it
percentages,
can
but
never
it's not,
happen, but it's really rare.
I wouldn't say really rare, but I agree. You should, if you win a team fight, you probably have the advantage in terms of, you know, numbers and whatnot. You can go.
So the
force
worst
things.
decision you can make at that point is recalling.
Yeah, people
Yes,
ask.
another common reason, in addition to like just going back to base and spending all your money, another common reason someone would recall is they're at half health or whatever, and there's a big wave pushing the top or bot lane, and they say, "Oh, someone's got to go take care of that. I got to go heal, so might as well obey me." And it's the AD carry. And it's like, no, we need you to push the tower because you're the tower killer. You're the AD carry. You see, so you should stay with us.
I see a lot of questions, a lot of posts that say, "I'm stuck here. I'm here. What should I do? This. Here's a replay. How should I play this out?" And a lot of them revolve around people going back, and because they're not using the power that they have gained. Like, you are essentially gaining power when a team fight ends, and you have more people on the field. You have more people that have stayed on the field. We'll put it that way. More people that have stayed on the field than the enemy team, allowing you to push some kind of objective down. Now, that objective doesn't necessarily have to be get a tower. It could be clear the enemy jungle and back because your waves aren't pushing. You could go take red, blue buff and back, and now that they've lost a objective on the map. It could be, it could be just getting that. It could be clear this, clear some wards, and get ready to go to the next thing. Now, that's like the lowest end of it. The biggest one would be obviously taking a tower, but this leads me to my point where people will ask, how do challenger players do these streams where they go from bronze to challenger in a week? Granted, they're not actually starting in bronze. They're usually starting in silver or gold because they
Plat generally from placements.
Yeah.
Midbeast just did one, and he 10-0'd his placements, and it's like, oh hey, I'm plat 2. Woo.
Right. And how are they doing that? And it's because they have a really good idea of what they need to do in the game to ultimately win the game, and that's taking objectives. They are ending a team fight and then pushing a wave out mid to take an objective. Now, it's like, I see this a lot in lower elo, so the enemy jungler will try to push a wave, and then they'll go top lane, they'll get a gank, and they'll try to push the wave, but they don't understand why they're pushing the wave or why they're freezing the wave. They're just doing it because they think they need to do it. And if you come to the point where you're pushing a wave after a successful gank, you should be trying to put some damage into that tower at the least, while paying attention to the enemy's respawn timer. Because if you have 35 seconds and you killed them right next to their tower, and you can push your big wave in there and get a couple pot shots off, that brings that one step closer to taking that objective eventually. So,
and it is key to pay attention to those respawn timers, like you said, because you can throw a game if your entire team stays too long, enemy team pops back up and kills you. So don't get greedy, but by all means, take something if you have time.
I had that happen on Sunday. We had a really hard snowball game where I was 12-1 on Jace at some point, and our Ashe just kept overstaying, and lo and behold, eventually we got outscaled, and we ended up losing after we took 3 inhibs. So
Jesus.
it's one of those things where it's just you got to be careful of not staying too long. It's all right, we got the inhib, we don't need to try and get the first Nexus tower. We'll get that later. Just back off, reset, get the map in a better position, and then work from there.
And I think a lot of players fail to consider what they're doing to their own team when they're not on the map for 20, 30, 40 seconds or something like that. If the enemy team just respawn and then you're the one caught out and you're off the board for 30 seconds, your team is totally screwed. Yeah, you end up giving so much just because you have a numbers disadvantage and everything. And it's one thing if it's a support who is trying to go out to an objective and get wards down and everything, and the enemy was just aware enough to know to catch that person there. And it's another thing altogether if it's an AD carry who just got greedy and was trying to push a tower down that they should have backed off from because the rest of the team also backed off.
I was going to go somewhere with that, and then I lost my train of thought.
I'm just saying, there are going to be casualties to battles, and people have certain jobs that they have to do, and sometimes you get caught. That's sort of the nature of the game, is people are always looking for picks and they're always looking to create an advantage and everything. And then there's also stupidity. It's okay to get caught because you're trying to do your job properly. Like, you don't want it to happen, and yes, your team is going to have to deal with the fact that you got caught. It's not okay to just be stupid.
Yeah, it's not okay to try to 1v5 as Vayne because you're ahead a little bit and you tumble into their Maokai. Like, that's usually not what you want to do.
and like, if you're an assassin or you're somebody with like a really good just combo and you think you can one-shot a person, hey, that's great, but it's not great if you decide to dive 4 champions deep and then you die in the process. That gold going onto you doesn't do anything for the rest of the team, because now at best there is a numbers parity between the two, and at worst, like, you just lost a bunch of damage or initiation or something for your team that they no longer have when an actual team fight is coming that you could have otherwise won.
Yeah, like, trading when you're that far ahead generally and you're trading 1 for 1, it's going to be better for the enemy team because that's 1 more gold off the field for your team than their team. 2, it's most likely you have a killing spree or something going on, so that's extra shutdown gold going the other way. The biggest thing I notice is when players are really far ahead is that they don't take into account that the most important thing for them to be doing at that point is not to be dying.
Yeah.
Because that shutdown gold is a really big swing for a lot of...
In some respects, like, that's the most important thing almost every single game you go into. It is way better to go 0-0-8 than it is to go 4-4-4.
Yeah, you should not, unless like it's just a really bad 2v2 or something. For the most part, you should aim to not be dying in lane, ever. It doesn't matter what the matchup is. If you don't die, for the most part, you're just gonna climb naturally because you are making less mistakes than your opponent. You're doing less stupid things.
And it's fine if you're like a tank jungler or you're the support or something, and you dying means that the AD carry or mid laner who's on a spree is going to live and everything, then that's good. Like, that's a calculated decision you should be making. But all other things being equal, like, don't give them that gold. Like, don't make a decision that is going to put gold into the enemy's hands, even if it's going to put a little bit into yours.
Yeah. How many times in solo queue do you see a first blood like at level 2? Almost every game at this point, right? Like, it just happens because people just don't play respectfully in lane and don't appreciate when they can die, and then it just ends up like starting the snowball lanes really fast. It's just,
or they get greedy.
Like, if you're not a strong level 1 champion, just play it safe. Don't do anything stupid and let the wave come into you. You're gonna get it eventually. Just, you don't need to be walking up when you're level 1, they're level 2, and then I died. Now the wave got pushed and I TP back, and now I'm down sums as well. Probably oh god, I can rant about that all day.
Well, I was thinking about that the other day. It was like a shower thought where I was thinking that a lot of times I'm trying to kill the entire wave before I meet people at like Dragon or Baron or whatever it is. I'll generally try to, destroy the whole wave, when I was thinking, you know what, I should probably just start destroying the caster minions instead and then walking away and trying to start my own slow push. Because I'm spending more time killing the melees. And again, I'm like, I don't ever do that. I'm going to try to be more...
You did that all last season, actually.
What, kill an entire wave, then walk?
No, you were so good last season about being like super, super mindful of your wave manipulation and that type of stuff. Like, you would kill the caster wave and then you would go somewhere else.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
you've had stuff going on and everything. I'm not trying to call out this season. I'm more like, you did used to do that, so don't get too down on yourself here.
And it's even just things like, if I'm guilty of this all the time because I like power farming, I like being efficient with my pathing and my ganking when I jungle. But if you're in the middle of doing a camp and a fight breaks out and you are within distance to intervene in that fight, don't finish your camp. Just go gank or get in that fight. Go try and stop a potential, double kill and turn it into like at best a two for 2 or like just no kills at all. It's like, I don't need to finish this Gromp if it can prevent 600 gold from going to the other team.
Mm-hmm. It's so hard to do. I don't know what it is.
So hard, it's so hard to do.
I don't want to let it go, but I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Gromp is what, like 50, 70 some odd gold in your hands?
It's like 80, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So, and that's not like a trivial amount or something, but 80 gold in your hands is not worth 600 gold in the enemy's hands. It's just not.
Right.
No, it never is.
Yes, Punch?
But
ooh, he says he
there are things I wanted to say.
No,
Oh,
just
okay.
say them. This is you have the
But
soapbox, dude.
because there's always two sides to there's so many different situations in League, right?
Sure.
When we say something like stay safe and don't die in lane, it's always risky to say something like that, because then whoever's taking that advice might think, okay, I'm going to play safe. I'm going to play passive,
Sure.
which is not what you want to do, right? If you have an advantage in lane, you want to take advantage of that. You do want to play aggressive if you can. Not playing dumb means knowing those matchups, knowing those power spikes, playing around them. If you can play aggressive, then by all means, be aggressive. That's how you win your lane. If you're not familiar with your matchup, or you know you have a disadvantage, then yes, you might want to play a little less aggro. Being smart means warding, so you can see if you're getting ganked, knowing when the jungler might be in your area, communicating with your team. Being smart might mean, yes, leave the Gromp if you're doing it right now and somebody needs your help. It also might mean identifying that your teammate's dead and you're not going to help them. Even if you get there, you're just going to feed another kill to the enemy. So at that point, you got to finish the Gromp. But again, like everything we're saying here, it all comes down to very specific situations in the game, which is why I get these funny feelings when we talk about them. It's like, that's good advice, except when this happens. It's so hard to say things in
the situations come up enough that we can
generalities.
We can cast a wide enough brush or paint with a wide enough brush that we can talk about a lot of these in generalities. I meant to say cast wide enough net.
I know. That's why I'm laughing.
Close enough.
But yeah, I think we're safe enough to talk to a lot of these, because there's a lot of times where you are taking Raptors and a fight breaks out and you don't want to leave it, right? And
yes,
you could ward somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, more often than not, people will stay to take the wave when they shouldn't. Yes. Yeah. So that is a good point to make. We've all made that mistake where, I just got to finish these last few creeps before we actually get there to our team. And by the time we get there, it's too late and your team's dead. That's all your fault.
And a lot of that just comes from players not being familiar with lane management and identifying, if I could fucking talk tonight, when they need to be going to lanes, or which lanes they need to be going to, or just taking advantage of when creeps are crashing. And the amount of times I see bot lane just it doesn't matter, whatever's happening is they just back or whatnot, fight broke out, they won, whatever, and they immediately just walk bot again because that is their defined lane, instead of going top lane and taking that farm that's crashing in the top tower, and then no one got that farm top tower and you just lost 600 gold from that wave and maybe most of the tower as well. It's just you have to be aware of the map at all times and make these movements of how the game's playing out. I mean, nothing's going to be as cookie cutter as you have to do this at 5 minutes and this at 7 minutes and this at 8 minutes, and when you're getting ready to do dragon, this and this have to happen. It's everything kind of ebbs and flows as the game goes on, depending on the champions in the game, how things have played out so far, and what could happen. It's like Punch said, there's a lot of not even corner cases, there's a lot of scenarios that happen that as you play more, you get more familiar with these scenarios.
And when you make these adjustments during game, like you brought up the example, if you're a bot laner, but there's a big wave pushing top and your top laner's not there to catch it, so you go that way. This is when it's important to communicate with your team, whether you're on voice chat or not, whether you're just playing solo queue or with a group of friends. The more you communicate with your team, the more flexible you can be, so you can make those adjustments so that you can go catch that top wave, and then your top laner knows, okay, so I'm free to go do something else, instead of this awkward situation where top laner's like, what are you doing? What are you doing in my lane? What are you doing with my creeps? Derp, I need those. Go back to bot lane.
I think what causes a lot of low MMR players trouble is that they are really only looking at their decisions within the context of what's about to happen. And especially as you face better and better players, that's going to get you in trouble, because better and better players are looking at a much bigger picture and everything. They're making decisions that are going to affect things, 4, 10, 15 moves in advance and everything. So you've kind of already lost that fight if you're really only looking at what's going on, now. You certainly need to be adaptable, but you need to recognize when they've been trying to set up something all along and you're just playing into their hands. And more, just as importantly, you need to start figuring out how to do that yourself.
Mm-hmm. The best way I saw this described is low elo players are playing Call of Duty, high elo players are playing StarCraft. Because at the again, there's this bloodlust at lower elos where
Gold is playing Dota 2.
Gold is just kind of in this limbo where they're pretty much just happy to be where they are.
Gold is the sweet spot, man.
Gold is the happy elo.
Oh my god, it's so great.
Happy elo.
It's so great in Gold.
But you get below below gold, and it's like, all right, they're like, I should be better, and then you get above plat, and then it's just full salt of I should be diamond, and then diamond's like I should be D4, D3, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
but gold's just like, yeah, I get a skin at the end of the year. This is great.
Yeah. So advice for everybody out there: just don't ever make it to D5, or make it there. Never,
it's so
ever
bad
play.
right now. I'm at that flat one.
Ever play at D5. Like you make it to D5, stick at 0 LP. Because D5 is, you think all the other elos are bad, D5 is the absolute trash tier worst.
The fifth level of hell.
I'm right there because I'm grinding for D5 right now, and I'm at that plat one, like that no man's land of, well, this guy's never going to drop with a diamond, but he doesn't really give a fuck, so he's going to pick support Yorick, and it's like, oh no.
We season 3, boys.
Yeah, we're just all over the place. Sometimes you get these really good one tricks that are just stuck there, and sometimes you get I played against a first time Riven top lane, and I killed her level 1, and like, you don't know what you're doing, but you're D5, so it doesn't really matter. So
interesting time to start playing Riven. Like, I've reached diamond. Now is the time to learn.
Now is the time.
When I hit diamond last season, I played Aatrox and Kled.
See, this is what I'm talking about. He was an ADC Jhin last season.
You were part of the problem.
I was.
And that, we've had so many conversations where we tell people, like, oh, if you want to climb, pick like 2 champions and just stick to those 2 champions and everything. And that's fundamentally sound logic for climbing and everything. But if you hit that thing, like the rank that you were targeting everything, then what are you supposed to do? Just suddenly start learning new champions and ranked and everything? No, go play normal games if you want to play, and learn new champions. Like, that's what you're supposed to be doing. But so many players treat hitting their target rank as this, like, okay, well, now I can just do whatever the hell I want because I got where I wanted to be and it doesn't matter for everybody else. It's like, well, you're probably going to start losing games then.
I mean, I'm guilty of this. I do this shit all the time in ranked. Like, I just, because it's
you do it in flex queue, which infuriates me because I still want to win, but,
Right.
Hey, but at least I try.
You do try.
Well,
I was
I was going to move the conversation on unless you had another point to add, Punch.
Nope, nothing important.
Okay. I mean, if you do, you can say it. It's okay.
No, I had nothing important to say.
Punch, say it.
Something
Punch.
stupid.
Punch, it's okay.
Punch, say it, Punch.
We're just
Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. All right, so I was just going to point out that I think a lot of the people that are in that Diamond 5 that hit their goal and they're just playing other champions, that they probably play so much ranked that's kind of their default game mode anyway. Like, they don't even think about queuing up for nobles anymore. They're just like, yeah, I just log on and play solo queue. That's what I do.
Much, yeah,
that's my playground. That's how I play League of Legends. So
pretty much.
Those people are gonna go. They're always gonna exist. Even though we want them to take the learning part and the experimentation part to the normal queue, where you should, that's not how they operate.
I've played primarily ranked this season, and I guess that's been the case for 2 seasons now and everything. But last night I played a couple normal games with Whale and some friends of his, and like I honestly just couldn't even muster the energy up to like really be that invested. Like, I wanted to win, but I didn't want to work that hard to win.
Right.
Again, when you play that much ranked, like, you don't, nothing's on the line. You don't have that ranking anxiety that so many people feel. Like, they're afraid of hitting the play buttons. Like, oh, what if I lose LP? These people don't feel it. Like, I don't care. I just play ranked.
That was me season 4 when I was still in school, and I jammed like 1,500 games that year. That season.
Nice.
And and I played a shit ton of everything. My most 2 played that season were Nidalee, top lane, and Jace, and they were only at like 100 games each. And it was just like, at that point you're just like, I don't really. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I'm just playing to improve at this point.
Which is the best attitude to have.
Pretty much.
But then you're not nervous whenever you start to lose, and you don't have that tilt.
My rank anxiety only ever kicks in for the first game, and it's like it's not even fear of losing so much as it is like just fear of playing poorly. But like I'll queue up for a game by myself, and it's the first game of the day, I will like just outright be shaking at my desk, and I will have to. Yeah, it's bad for just that one game. And that used to be my experience every single ranked game I played by myself, and that's why I didn't do it for so long. And I finally got over that, but.
Now it's just fear of Comcast fucking me over every time now.
It does get you pretty bad.
Yeah, well, it's great.
I think I had mentioned this earlier. I think I mentioned it to Dom, perhaps. But I think next season, I'm just going to forget about solo queue completely. And I think I'm going to focus on flex queue next season. Like, in and out of only flex queue, because I find that I have a lot more fun in this game when I play with other people, and I play with other people around my skill level. And I find that I have the most fun when I play with 3 people at a time. So I think next season I'm going to really try to jam out in some flex queue and really push for diamond in that queue rather than solo queue. Because I have to only pick one queue to do it, right? Because that's all the time I have for it. Especially by that time I'll have a, 6-month-old or so by the time that season starts. Not 6 month, a 4-month-old, sorry. Potentially 6 by the time I actually get into play rank. So yeah, I think flex queue is what I'm going to focus on next season. And now might be a good time if you've hit your rank to decide what do you want to focus on. I don't care what the League of Legends community says. Like, pick your queue and decide what you feel is more important. Play that. Whatever makes you happy. Whatever keeps you playing this game and makes you want to get better at the game. Because this level of competition that you play between solo and flex queue doesn't really change.
Are there people still out there that herald one queue over the other? I know there was this fear when dynamic queue came out, or sorry, flex queue. Oh, dynamic queue. Who don't want to say that? That'll make me angry. Whew. Flex queue. I'm sorry. Yeah, when they were making 2 different queues, that everyone would just say, solo queue is the true way to play the game. Nobody plays flex queue, or everyone's gonna shit on the flex queue players. But I haven't really experienced a lot of that. Do people actually feel that way? That solo queue is the true way to play the game? And
I think so.
If you're not diamond in solo queue, then you're not truly diamond.
I think it's more, again, vocal minority is always the loudest, and the general League community is kind of like, whatever. I mean, it's another queue I can play. Great, I can play with my friends in a more competitive environment than normals. I mean, that's essentially what it is.
My experience has kind of been that most people take the attitude, you know what, I'm just gonna have fun in flex queue. I don't really care what my MMR rank ends up being, but they're willing to take far fewer risks with their solo queue rating.
Right. I mean, also it just kind of helps with people that are almost close enough in MMR to play like solo queue, duo queue together, but not quite. But they can all kind of queue up for flex anyway, because they're like, there's some guys diamond and some guys kind of gold, but together they can get plat and flex queue or whatnot. I mean, it's bringing more of that, since we don't really have a 5s window right now for just like dedicated team play. It kind of fulfills that in a sense.
As much as we play together, and I have seen over the course of the season, I haven't been keeping stats or track of stats other than our win-loss ratio, and I have noticed that more people that actually do care about flex that I've been playing with, and I firmly believe that as a group, even as a group of 5, that we could make it to diamond together in flex queue, just by the fact that I think a lot of us are taking it more seriously as we play together, because they realize that there's 2 or 3 of us that find this, that want to take this really, really seriously, and then the others kind of get on board with that as we continue to play.
What's my flex queue? What's my flex queue rating, guys?
Yours?
Yeah.
Like,
is it gold 1?
No, you're like
he's
plat.
plat.
Oh, okay.
I'm up to plat 4, and I just literally just play with everybody who is like, hey, you want to do flex? I'm like, yeah, I'll play with you. I mean, like, it's not like I'm playing only with T-Force people or anything, or only with like Santana and Sean or something, or only with Todd because he's the highest of us. I mean, like, I always play flex queue when I have the opportunity to do it, and I've just climbed up to plat 4. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For comparison, you have played 74 games of solo queue this season. You have played 130 games of flex.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm playing a lot more flex. I'm not playing solo queue or anything like that. It's not like I've only got 12 games there or something, And fuck, I've got 44 games of Twisted Tree Line for what that's worth.
See, I don't know what happened, Dom, between us, because we have just about the same number of flex queue, and I know that there have been spells where we've each played separately. I would say for maybe 40 of those games we've played separately, or with different groups, I should say, right? But for some reason, I'm only at 51% win ratio in my flex queue at 66 and 63, and I know at one point I was like in the dumpster at 47%. So I don't know what the fuck happened early on in this season when I was like gold 5 or gold 4.
I think you kept trying to play Jhin, and Jhin just wasn't a thing that was happening.
Something happened, but I pulled it out. Hey, my Tristana win ratio is up to 75%.
I started a full division lower than you.
Yeah. Speaking of ADCs, Ezreal. Still dumpster tier.
Well, okay, I put this in the document because I don't necessarily want to change everybody's train of thought, because I do believe that Ezreal is not great, but I wanted to bring the conversation from a different angle than other people are talking about him at, right? And let's assume that W doesn't exist in the game, because right now Ezreal players, if you're an Ezreal player, you're not putting a point in the W ever. You're doing Q and E.
You put it in
when you have to.
4 tier, yeah, because you're forced to.
Right, when you have to, you put a point into it, but you're maxing Q and E. You're never putting a point in W unless you have to, right? So with that thought, is Ezreal in his current state actually that terrible and deserves a buff, or does the meta and everything else around him actually need to shift to make him good? Because obviously Ardent Censer meta favors other carries more than he does, and Ezreal does pretty well with attack speed. Like, good Ezreal players do well with attack speed with his passive, because he's getting up to 50% extra attack speed. Ardent Censer helps with that a little bit, not to gain more, but helps him dish out more damage. But if we didn't have lethality being so snowbally and Ardent Censer wasn't a thing, does Ezreal suddenly make it up to 50% win rate because he's at this good position? Like, what?
Cinderhawk and tanks as well. You got to throw those in as well.
Right. So there's
he doesn't do well against tanks. He doesn't really do well with tanks.
So is
there are a lot of things holding him back.
My question is the problem actually Ezreal, right, or is the problem the way that the Riot is developing the game?
Both.
I'm afraid that
we're a new champion or a pro player like figuring out a really good counter to tanks that opens up a new set of counters to that champion and just warping the champion pool away from suddenly Ezreal being really good again and everything. Like, it just things moving away from tanks. It doesn't necessarily mean Riot's trying to direct the game to be really focused on tanks. Doesn't mean they're not, but it doesn't mean that's what's going on. But I'm kind of with the assertion that like tanks are what's keeping Ezreal pretty far down.
I mean, so
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I'm afraid that these there are so many roadblocks or speed bumps that's kind of keeping Ezreal back. Right. I don't feel like a lot of them have to do with his kit. So let's say they do buff Ezreal so that he is playable in the meta. Right. 50% win rate. At that win rate, there's going to be a lot of people playing him because people like playing Ezreal.
Sure.
If that's the case, and then some of these roadblocks get nerfed later down the line, I feel like Ezreal then would skyrocket.
Yep.
I feel like it's more the meta keeping him back rather than his kit. These buffs that we saw in the last patch kind of made me a little nervous because, again, if in the off season they shake up everything, tanks become bad, lethality. Ezreal, I don't think he would ever build lethality unless that changes in the offseason for whatever reason. Let's say lethality gets nerfed, nobody builds that. All these things that are keeping Ezreal back, they go away. Does he just skyrocket to the forefront again? That's kind of what I'm afraid of.
Soon, because we've got Kalista nerfs on PvE, we've got Tristana nerfs on PvE. Twitch will probably get touched in preseason. Caitlyn's put in the dumpster at this point for solo queue wise.
Is she still getting played in pro play though, right?
Kinda, sorta. She's like the tier 2 if like
she didn't fall off the face of the earth.
She kinda did.
She more than less did. When Tristana's win rate is above 50% at a 20% play rate, that's where Caitlyn was at for how many seasons? She did fall. By those metrics, she fell off the face of the earth.
And for the rest of us mortals, yes.
Yeah, because like even I'm looking.
But in pro play, she's still getting picked every so often.
Yeah, sure, but. For solo queue right now, I'm just looking at win rates for Analytics, and like if you look at the bottom 5, Ezreal's 5th at win rate right now, but 3 of them I don't even consider ADCs anymore, which are Corki, Quinn, and Lucian.
I think you have to include Lucian, just the pick rate there.
Yeah,
the pick rate there, like he's still getting played there really, really frequently. So even in pro play, he's a mid laner in pro play, but everywhere else he's still getting picked a lot as AD carry.
So like out of the 5, like 2 of them aren't even really AD carries anymore, Corki and Quinn, and he's above Caitlyn, who got a lot of nerfs solo QIs, and Lucian, who got a fair bit of nerfs, and he's just a super popular champion, so he doesn't do, as well, because high win rate should equal a theoretically lower, or high play rate should equal a lower win rate in theory, although we're not seeing that happen as much with things like Tristana.
And you take if you
It
take,
also depends on.
I was gonna say you take Lucian out of the conversation and everything. I'm sorry, you take Ashe out of the conversation. Lucian, Ezreal, and Jhin are not champions that like scale especially well with attack speed. Yes, Jhin gets attack damage from it and everything, but we're kind of in a situation where it's the volume of attacks that you pump out and not necessarily how hard they hit.
Right. And Ezreal actually wasn't doing too bad at the beginning of the season when they reworked Bork.
Right.
But then we saw the Bork nerfs.
There was Lucian.
Yeah, and then we saw the Bork nerfs in 7-9, where they increased the cost again, and then 7-11, where they dropped the lifesteal down, which were pretty big things that let Ezreal succeed earlier in the season.
They also, what's the word I'm looking for? They made all the items cost the same, like Edge, Bork.
And then they reworked all the ADC items, so like Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver were the same, and the lifesteal items were the same cost, like BT and Mercurial and stuff like that. And then we saw the return of crit ADCs with like double attack speed IE builds, and then we saw lethality come back. But yeah, like it's just not a good meta for him. And I think Dom mentioned this last podcast, or the podcast before, where I think a fair bit of his power budget is invested into his W, even though realistically it doesn't do as much as they think it would.
It doesn't do anything for him in most cases.
It doesn't do anything for him, and it might do things for his team, but it's really not acting like that in game.
Right. Well, that's where I leave it. I hated playing against Blue Ezreal, but I kind of missed that he was on the game because I thought that was a really unique way to play that champion. And it was one of those
things where if he got ahead, it just felt so bad.
I don't know. We talked, or I mentioned a lot of champions that don't scale with attack speed. If Arden's sensor is not in the game or gets changed and so that it's functioning in some different capacity, I think it's an entirely different AD carry meta. Like there's a lot changes, and Tristana still might be at the top because of her ability to take objectives so well. But, you don't see Jhin struggling in the same way. Ezreal's definitely not going to. And I think Lucian's also performing better.
I think you still see Jhin struggling just because Jhin doesn't do well in the tanks. But I think you would definitely see things like Kog'Maw as much.
But yeah, you might see like Kog'Maw and Vayne and maybe Draven, but you might see like those types of champions doing well because they just fuck up. They're tank busters in that regard.
Well, you have to keep in mind that if Ardent's sensor gets nerfed, that changes the landscape of supports as well. Suddenly, we're not seeing all these enchanters, enchantresses.
Yeah. We're probably seeing Alistar, Tahm Kench, Thresh, Blitz, Leona.
And
one of the reasons
everywhere.
And that allows Varus and Ashe to come back up to the top, and that allows Jinx to stay at 50%. Kog'Maw comes back up because he has a lot of assistance. Callista comes back up a little bit because of that. And all the other champions pretty much stay around the same. It's just
It's some of those AD carries you mentioned are still counters to Ezreal, particularly Vayne and Draven shit on Ezreal pretty hard.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tristana, we already talked about how she's very effective at pushing Ezreal into the tower, which is the last thing he wants to do. He doesn't want to use his mana to wave carry. He wants to use his mana to hurt you.
Well, he also can't
Right. He has to do everything he can to last hit, which means he's not focusing his aggression on the enemy AD carry. So yeah, if Ardent Sensor went away and the landscape changed, I'm not convinced that would be enough. I'm not convinced that would be an improvement for Ezreal. Really, maybe some other AD carries like Vayne and Draven go to the top. That's not. He doesn't want to see that though.
Yeah, I think actually Vayne falls off if we see less Ardent Sensor, just because if the supports change, Vayne has a much tougher time laning than she does right now. Because right now she's laning into Janna, Sona, Soraka, and Taric, which
the horror,
which aren't exactly hard matchups for her. We're seeing Leona popularity pop up again. We're seeing a ton of Rakan. Lulu's back too. Like, these aren't hard lanes for her. So that's part of the reason she's kind of getting played a lot. And plus, people like playing Vayne because they're toxic assholes.
Well, and we mentioned Rakan. She's actually not scared of Rakan because she has enough time to tumble outside of his
of his
pop-up.
W.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's like a perfect lane for
I love shitting on Vaynes.
It's so
one of my favorite things to do in League. It's just kill Vayne. I love it.
have this theory that the community has not seen Vayne for so long that when they do see a Vayne, even though she is popular or has a winning percentage, that they figure that the player is bad at Vayne, so they don't try to either camp the Vayne or they don't respect the Vayne well enough, and then that Vayne runs away with the game, giving that Vayne the win percentage that she has now. Because every time you see a Vayne in game, are you scared of that Vayne? Like, legitimately, or do you go, holy fuck, I am scared?
Yes.
Depends on if I hear
I pick Camille.
her Silver Bolt's thing at level 2.
Because
If I do, then no, I'm not scared of that Vayne. If I don't, then yeah, I am.
Because Vayne is one of those champions where when she wins games, she stomps them, and you very clearly remember them. And it's unlike where, like, I don't know, MF pops off. It's like, oh, she ulted and I kind of died. Great, next game. But when Vayne pops off,
Oh, we
it's like,
still didn't ult. Yeah.
I 1v4'd as Vayne, and I just killed their entire team by 2-shotting with a crit tumble. She leaves a very lasting impression that leaves players to dislike Vayne a lot more. So I am always super gunning for her whenever I'm playing. It's like, all right, we got to kill the Vayne, and then we'll worry about the rest of the team fight.
Sure.
Darius and Orianna do that to me.
Darius I can agree with just because,
When Darius goes off, it's like, fuck, why did I leave that champion on the board? What was the thing? Even though, like, going into every game, it's like, I know how to deal with Darius. This isn't a problem. When you run into one person who knows how to do it, it's like, shit, what was I thinking? This was a terrible decision.
it's like you do.
But you
then
just pick
watch-
Gnar. You just pick Gnar and build Frozen Mallet, then you're good.
You say that, and then Darius goes off. You're like, what happened? How did this happen?
Why is Pudge playing top lane?
Yeah, you guys are moving back to bot lane.
You watch it. it's
Don't
like,
think I haven't noticed.
I know how to deal with Darius, and then their top laner just dies at level 1 because he has Ghost and Fervor stacks. And it's like, oh, I got cheese in the bush, and I wasn't paying attention. Good job.
I'm sorry, guys. I'll go back. Hey, let's talk about the one. I'm going to skip a couple discussion topics here because I wanted to talk about this specific discussion topic tonight, and we're at about 10 minutes or so left of the podcast. I wanted to know if people thought Peripherals were holding players back because, for example, Sean was playing on a normal Dell keyboard, a $5 or $10 shitty ass little keyboard.
That's what I have.
Nice.
And also playing on like a shitty ass Dell mouse. And as soon as I got him a better keyboard and a better mouse, granted he may have started playing more, but maybe it's because he felt more comfortable playing the game when he got these better, but he started playing better. Right? So I'm curious if peripherals actually make a difference in the game. And if you felt that upgrading any of your peripherals, including your chair, well, I'm going to call one of those as peripherals, if it made you feel more comfortable, made you play better in the game when you did upgrade.
It's for those of you who are aware of Apto, one of the reasons he never tried to go pro is because he has a very specific setup that he feels that if he wasn't in this specific setup, he wouldn't be a good player at all. Like he has like 10 of the same mice in storage because they stopped making them.
Jeez.
He's got a keyboard. Had the same chair for like the last 6 years. He has this very specific setup. So I know it's kind of a superstition thing for players. It's like, I have my setup. This is how I want to play, and they don't change it. I do think peripherals matter to an extent, but probably not as much at like.
Well, peripherals aren't
our
going to
elo.
take you from silver to gold, right?
Oh,
Like,
no.
But they are going to they are going to help you when you have good material to work with. It's
a
kind of like
comfort thing,
putting
right?
AC Delco brakes on your car compared to Lumforder or something, right? Like something
Right.
nice.
I mean,
Like,
in some cases, you eliminate a possible source of an excuse. You can blame a shitty keyboard on an ability not going off, or you know, an item not being used when you wanted it to. But once you have a good keyboard and everything, you know, like that's on you. That's human error coming into play, and like you got to own that, and that's going to cause you to improve.
Yeah, for the most part, my first season in the league, I played on a trackpad laptop.
Jesus.
And I got to like silver once somehow as an ADC main. Fuck me, right?
Wait,
But
were you using a fucking trackpad to play the game?
yeah, I was using a trackpad to play
Oh my
ADC.
God.
Jesus.
Season 3.
Well, I
Holy
used to
crap.
play Ultima Online with a trackpad, and that's not nearly as intensive. But yeah, I remember playing Ultima Online all the time on a
Yeah,
trackpad.
now
A
I
friend of
have,
mine also used a trackpad, and at the time, to call him Bronze 5 would have been a generous compliment.
believe me, it's a different game. But now it's like I have a Death Adder, and it's the difference between before my mouse died, I had a G100, a Logitech, and now I have a Death Adder, and it's night and day. Like it's just so much more comfortable.
Dom, what are we rocking? What is this thing? The G900.
G900.
This thing is awesome. By the way, if you have $125 to spare for a mouse,
Wireless?
It's a wireless gaming mouse,
Oh, it's
Yeah,
great.
and it's
I have
phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Seriously,
Yeah.
there is no lag. There is zero lag.
Okay. Maybe the technology is there now, but the biggest improvement I ever made way back when was changing from wireless to wired.
Yeah.
Because
If I wanna
fuck
go-
wireless back then. There was too much lag. It's like 10 years ago.
If I want to go wired, I literally have a cable right there that I can plug in, and that also charges the battery, but it works. The mouse works just fine without it. I can't believe how much easier things are to do without having the wire there.
See, Dom
It
gets
was-
it.
it was
Dom
getting-
heard
it
me
was-
bitch how often about my fucking wire.
It was in
I've
my
got a
way
problem.
so frequently, and I didn't like. You don't think you have any problems until you go wireless for a while, and then you try to use wired again. You're like, what? What am I doing? I'm being goddamn anchored right now. This might as well be pulling
Yeah,
me fucking
absolutely.
away. Like it's straining my arm.
Well,
Like,
I'm wireless at work, so I switch back and forth every day, and I
did too from work, and I didn't think twice about it when I was playing games and everything until I stared playing games with the wireless mouse.
You can
Like,
try to explain the wireless gaming mouse with a good mouse. You have to have a good mouse. Like I vehemently believe you have to spend at least $100 on a mouse to be able to get a good wireless mouse. Because like you said, Punch, if you go out and you buy a $50 Logitech mouse, you're probably gonna get some fucking crazy lag, and it's not gonna work great for you, or
It's going to suck.
Right. But like the G900, for example, when I'm at wireless all day at work and I come home and play, and if I plug the cord into this, you can't explain it. You feel like you're tethered now, because I feel like I have full range of motion.
you are tethered.
Right. I'm using, I don't know if you guys, this is another one big improvements for me for my peripherals, was buying one of these mats. You ever seen these like Steel
Yours
Series?
is so small.
The cheap Steel Series mat, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's $10, but it's
It's like
phenomenal.
$5 or 10. Yeah.
Let me pull
Yeah,
out
it's-
this one
it's
I
great.
use. This is my old Magic the Gathering playmat, and this is like I have two of these on my desk, and that is my mouse pad, and it's they're cheap. You can get them online for like $5-10, and they're like 3 by 1.5 feet. It's enough space if you want to have like a low DPI. You can move all over the place without worrying about going off your mat.
My brother custom designed his own desk, but in the process of building it, he actually just made the entire surface one giant mouse pad.
Really?
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
What does he do when he starts like spilling shit on it and stuff?
You don't eat at your desk, Pone.
Don't need any desk, otherwise it's not that hard to clean mouse pads.
Oh.
Soap and water will clean them.
My old mouse pad was like fraying really bad at the edges and rolling up. So I just
Here's my old mouse pad. First Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Tobey Maguire.
God. Anyway,
Before
Punch.
he went-
I'm telling you, man.
2003.
G900. It's phenomenal. It's a great mouse.
I'm happy with my brand I never heard of when I bought it, but it's really nice. I've been using it for a long time.
So the only
I
other thing
swear
I'm
by
saying is,
Logitech mice. Like those are the only mice that I will use.
I used Logitech before, and now I switched to Razer, and I've only ever had like 2 gaming mice per se, so my sample size is small, but
What was
I like them better.
What was my predecessor?
Hey.
this
It was the
only other-
G502 before it is what I was using. So.
This is the
Gotcha,
only
yeah.
other peripheral I need. This little
Aw.
baby.
Look at that bundle of adorable
The
joy.
502
Yeah,
still
look at
feels
that
good.
microphone. Aw.
Anyway, as we're talking about, I know I'm really far away from the mic. I apologize, podcast listeners. I have a baby that I'm trying to put up. Okay, there. I'm back near my mic. So we talk a lot about peripheral. We just talked a lot about peripherals and whatnot, and how we feel it helps. I do believe that if you don't have a mechanical keyboard, you should go buy one. I remember Sean. I wish he was here to say this, but he would mention that having a mechanical keyboard over a shitty $10 keyboard made the world of a difference, because having that tactical feedback, being able to feel what keys you pressed, gives you a better. It makes the games play out better. You feel better as you're playing them because you know what you're pressing and why you're pressing them.
Yeah, I have. God.
Plastic keyboards wear out faster, so if you've been playing like games for a really long time and you haven't, gotten a new keyboard at all, odds are good that you have worn out a good number of your keys. I'm noticing this actually at work. I bought myself a mechanical keyboard for the office, and when I'm just going into laptop mode, I'm stuck using just the keyboard that's built in and everything. The number of times that keys letters just outright drop. And I'm a copy editor. Like, precision is part of what I have to do. And I'm frequently having to re-hammer in keys and that type of thing just to get something to spell correctly or to get the proper punctuation, because stuff is so worn out from that. And that's why I got a mechanical keyboard for myself at the office. But shit wears out.
Yeah, I was having problems with because I played before I got my PC in March. I was playing on a laptop, and like for the same one I was originally playing on, except now I had a mouse. But that keyboard, my Q and W buttons were iffy at best half the time, and now I have a shitty $5 keyboard I need to fix up at some point. But it does the job for now. But I can definitely see like having a mechanical and just being able to hear everything as you play and whatnot.
Keyboards that come with your computers, if you buy something pre-manufactured, or keyboards that you got through work, or the $10 keyboard that you got, from Newegg or whatever it is, they're not designed to last long. They want those. They want you to burn those through those things so that you turn around and buy another cheap ass keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of treat those things like a spare tire. Like if my main keyboard busts for some reason, I'm using a Logitech mechanical. I love Logitech keyboards, but if for some reason this was just a die on me, then I'd bust out one of those keyboards that you get for free.
I've got a few of those
just to have it in the meantime.
I've spilled enough beer on my keyboards that I need to have a spare one laying around.
It's good to have a backup.
And we're not saying
backup mouse, backup keyboard.
Go out right this second on Amazon or your local Micro Center or whatever and like get the best keyboard you can or whatever.
I am actually, because there's a 20% off code for PAX West 20 on Amazon right now. You can get 20% off.
So you know what? There you go.
Do it now.
Adam's got the hookup for you.
Yeah,
but it's something to consider if you are just not comfortable. Even just getting a better chair. Like I have a really terrible chair and I need to get a better one. I'll get there someday, but for now it's just you got to pay attention to your posture and things like that.
So Santana, on September 1st, we're going to have a deal for you.
Oh, boy, I'm so excited. That's in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever could it be?
30% off something, which is unprecedented for this company.
Something great.
It's almost like we're hinting at something we won't get to till next week, because today's Wednesday, or Friday for you podcast listeners. Actually, only Friday for you podcast listeners, because we're not live.
We're not live. Couldn't you run this promo since it starts on the 1st?
I don't actually have the...
Got him.
I actually... okay, so I want to say that since it starts on September 1st, that yes, it does, and the promo gets ran. So I want to say that by the time that people have made this episode, they've probably already heard the promo, and that we're hinting at that they're already heard it. I'm just going to tell Lansford to run it. It's for Skylab's Performance Chairs. They heard it way at the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
so, there it is.
So
all right.
We're bickering over now. You've already heard. You already are confused about, and
just keep in mind that we record on Wednesdays and the podcast is released on Fridays. So sometimes some of our information is delayed.
Just a little bit.
I think we're gonna leave it there. I want to hit some listener questions, but we spent a really long time on that very first discussion topic, a lot longer than I expected us to. But good job, fellas.
We're good at bullshitting about things we didn't think we were going to talk about. The last patch.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
God. There's like
it's expected at this point.
2 changes in that patch, and we talked about 45 minutes on all of them. It's like, all right.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I hear a baby crying. I gotta get some laundry swapped over. I gotta go take care of family stuff. Yeah, this evening. I am on baby duty all night. I get the bottle feeding at 11, 1, or
nice.
11, 2, and 5. So yeah, it's gonna be a great night for me.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, have babies,
don't
please. Please have babies, but also don't have babies. Like, have them, but don't have them. How's that?
Have the allotted 2.5 kids per family, because we are now not meeting that anymore in the States. So, got to refill those bodies.
2.5.
Yeah, it's 2.5
that's
kids per
tricky.
household now.
Yeah, that's pretty tricky.
But
I'll think about that one.
Yeah. So, Punch, you can have 3. Dom, you can have 4. I'll have 0. We'll just make that work.
I want the 0. No fair.
All right, we're going to leave it there before this gets out of hand. Guys, thanks for listening to episode 469 of the podcast. Please go out and support us, support our sponsors, and support everybody else. Guys, we will see you all on Monday with some more League of Legends discussion. Have a good evening, and peace. Later.
See you guys.